Today is day 5 for the unaliving trial of Aniah Blanchard. This is the end of the first week. This case is expected to go 2 weeks. There were 7 more witnesses to testify on today. Now, they did clear up about those used condoms. There were 2 used condoms from 2 different specimens. However, they should have cleared this up on yesterday because those jurors left yesterday with those thoughts in their mind and kind of had to, sit with those thoughts. And they could have got a better understanding if they would have provided all of the information in one day. However, we are here now, so let's just go through all of the testimony as it happened. Now, the main testimony today came from the lead investigator who was formerly with Auburn Police Department. He talks about how the investigation went from the moment that Aniah was reported missing, how they reached out to the roommate and got the Snapchat location data from her, how they got the toothbrush and the hairbrush to build a DNA profile. He stated that they were using bank records or financial records and they used surveillance footage to kind of draw a timeline of exactly what happened. Now, one thing that did stand out was that they got the surveillance footage from the Chevron and from the Murphy oil station that was near the Walmart in Auburn. And both of those locations had Ibraheem and Aniah at those locations. So that means after she left that Chevron, they both ended up at that Murphy oil station location, and that is pretty damaging to his case. Now, he stated that a license plate reader captured Aniah's car near I-85 in Auburn around midnight, and he also brought up the fact that they were not the only agency working on this case, that this case was being handled by multiple agencies, including the FBI, and they had received thousands of tips that they had to go through before Ibraheem was even a suspect. So then they started to talk about some of the evidence that was collected. They picked up hair and clothes from Pensacola, Florida, where Ibraheem was arrested, that there was a lead projectile near Aniah's body in Macon County, and there was also a 9mm casing as well as other projectiles in a home in Montgomery that was tied to Ibraheem Yazeed. Now, during the cross-examination, the defense attorney got up and asked, was there any video showing that Aniah had been abducted or anything like that? And they said no. They asked, was there any video footage showing Ibraheem's face clearly? They said no. And they also asked, is there any way they can tell when or where Aniah was shot? And they also said they could not tell that either. Now, there was a T-Mobile representative that took the stand that talked about the subpoenas for the cell phone records and basically confirmed that the records that were presented at court were the true records. There was a flock safety representative. These are the people that was over like the license plate reader. They just described how the license plate readers work and how the images are stored. And then a former fingerprint analyst from Montgomery Police Department took the stand and discussed why they couldn't recover usable fingerprints from certain surfaces. They stated it could have either been a cleaning job or environmental factors. Now, Aniah's former dentist also took the stand and confirmed her dental records and her x-rays, and that was used by the police department to identify her remains. Now, Montgomery Police Department supervisor took the stand and talked about how he worked the crime scene. A lot of photographs were done. He photographed the home, a trash can that had a submerged blanket on the inside. He processed a gray Dodge Ram, and in processing that Dodge Ram, he took pictures of evidence including hay and other items found on the truck bed. And then a Montgomery Police Department detective took the stand. He talked about the discovery that was found in the car. He says the car was backed into an apartment complex, and he also mentioned those 2 condoms. Now, he said those condoms were found a few hundred feet away from Aniah's car, and they had no relevance to the car at all at the time. However, they're not saying if it has any relevance to the car now. Y'all, I really feel like they should have cleared this up on yesterday, because if that was 2 male specimens inside of that and Aniah's DNA was not on that, Ibraheem's DNA was not on that, neither was any other guys that have taken the stand and talked in this case DNA on it, then whose DNA was it and why was it even mentioned in this case? Y'all, this is the end of the first week. Trial will start back on Monday morning at 9 a.m. If any updates come before then, I'll make sure to let you all know.